All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down one of the most disturbing and frankly complicated scandals in modern American history. We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, his secret island, and the incredibly powerful network of people caught in his web. We're going to look at how this all happened, and maybe more importantly, why the full truth might still be buried. So, a lot of this story starts on a private island called Little St. James. Now, to the outside world, this place was pure paradise, a luxury getaway for the rich and famous. But to the locals, and especially to the victims who were trapped there, it had a much, much darker name: Pedophile Island. It was a place where a truly horrifying reality was hiding in plain sight. So let's start with this island of secrets and the man who created it. The guy at the center of it all was, of course, Jeffrey Epstein. He starts off as a school teacher, but somehow, and that's a big somehow, he skyrockets into the world of high finance and becomes this multimillionaire. But honestly, his real currency, it was his network. He was brilliant at cultivating relationships with some of the world's most powerful people, including huge names like Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. And in 1998, he buys this 75-acre island for almost $8 million. He turns it into his own private kingdom, right? Palatial homes, villas, a helipad, the works. But this entire luxurious setup, it was all just a carefully constructed stage for committing unimaginable crimes against girls as young as 12 years old. Girls who were trapped with absolutely no way to escape. For years, all of this went on in secret. But then, in 2005, a single police complaint from the parents of a 14-year-old girl started to pull at a thread. And that thread would eventually unravel everything. This is the point where the justice system finally gets involved. And it's also where the system would fail the victims in the most spectacular way, leading to what can only be called a perversion of justice. So as police started digging, they found this wasn't just a few isolated incidents. Oh no, they uncovered a horrifyingly effective system, an organized trafficking pyramid scheme. Epstein would assault a girl, and then he'd offer her money to recruit her own friends. It created this vicious, self-sustaining chain reaction, guaranteeing a constant supply of new victims for him and his associates. And the scale of this was just staggering. The Palm Beach police alone, they quickly identified over 36 underage victims. And the case just kept getting bigger. So big, in fact, that the FBI had to launch its own investigation, codenamed Operation Leap Year, and they started collecting statements from victims all across the country. To really understand just how calculated and predatory this whole scheme was, just listen to the words of one of the victims. She explained that she opened up about her difficult past, hoping to get a job. And she realized instead that her vulnerability made her what she called their perfect type. Her honesty wasn't met with help, it was met with exploitation. It's just a truly chilling level of predation. Okay, so you've got dozens of victims. You have clear evidence of a massive trafficking ring. A life sentence seems like a slam dunk, right? Well, that is not what happened. Behind closed doors, a federal attorney named Alexander Acosta brokered a secret plea deal. And this wasn't just some lenient deal. It was a total grant of immunity from all federal charges for Epstein and anyone who might have been involved with him. And the most shocking part? It was illegally hidden from the victims themselves. So what was the result of this secret illegal deal? After pleading guilty to 2 minor state charges, not trafficking but solicitation, Epstein was sentenced to just 18 months. 18 months for decades of abuse against dozens, if not hundreds, of girls. But get this, even that sentence was a complete and total farce. Epstein was put up in a private wing of the county jail and was given work release. That meant he could leave the jail and go to his office for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. He basically just slept at the jail. And then he was released early, after only 13 months. It was just a stunning demonstration of how there's a totally different system of justice for the wealthy and the connected. And just like that, for almost a decade after he got out, the case went completely cold. Epstein was a free man, he was back to living his lavish life, and it really seemed like justice was never going to happen. But then, the story resurfaced, and it's all thanks to one journalist's relentless pursuit of the truth. That journalist was Julie K. Brown from the Miami Herald. After Epstein got out, she started meticulously investigating the case, digging through all the documents and, crucially, tracking down victims who had been silenced for years. She just refused to let the story die. So in 2018, Brown publishes her explosive series, Perversion of Justice, and it just blew the whole thing wide open. It laid out Epstein's crimes for everyone to see, it exposed that secret plea deal to the world, and it shared the stories of the victims. The impact was immediate. The public outrage was absolutely massive, and it forced authorities in New York to open a brand new investigation. So thanks to that incredible public pressure, Epstein was arrested again in 2019. And this brings us to the final, really shocking chapter of his life, his death, and all the conspiracy theories that exploded right after. This is where the story takes its most mysterious turn, a turn that fuels speculation to this very day. So, in July 2019, Epstein gets arrested on federal sex trafficking charges. This time, he's facing up to 45 years in prison. But just 1 month later, he's found dead in his cell. The official cause of death was suicide. But the timing, the circumstances, it was all so suspicious that it just ignited this firestorm of speculation. And it's what made the phrase, Epstein didn't kill himself, a global meme.
You see, his death meant he could never testify, and the public was left wondering what secrets, and more importantly, what names did he take to the grave? This widespread belief that he had damaging information on incredibly powerful people, it created this intense political pressure to unseal and release every single document connected to his case, the documents that became known as the Epstein files.
And that brings us to today, and to the unsealed files themselves. After years and years of legal battles, some of these documents have finally seen the light of day. But honestly, they seem to raise way more questions than they answer. So what have we actually learned from them? And what is still hidden?
The public pressure for answers became so intense that it actually led to one of those rare moments of political unity. A bipartisan bill passed through Congress, forcing the Justice Department to finally start releasing the files. And that alone tells you just how widespread the demand for transparency had become.
The documents that were released, well, they did confirm a lot of long-rumored, high-profile connections. Names that popped up in depositions, flight logs, and witness statements included former presidents Donald Trump and Bill Clinton, the UK's Prince Andrew, and even the world-renowned scientist Stephen Hawking. All of them were mentioned in connection to Epstein as associates, friends, or guests. Some of the most shocking new claims actually centered on Donald Trump. The source material details some pretty serious allegations from a limo driver and also a letter that was supposedly from Epstein. Now, it is absolutely crucial to note here that the Justice Department officially dismissed these allegations as untrue and also called the letter a fake. But here's the real catch. The files we've gotten so far are nowhere near complete. They're heavily redacted. I mean, huge sections are just blacked out with a marker, hiding names, dates, and key details. So what we're getting is a partial, really censored version of the truth. And this number really puts it all into perspective. Over 1 million documents related to this case have still not been made public. 1 million! What we've seen so far is truly just the tip of the iceberg. Which, of course, leaves us with the one critical question that just hangs over this entire scandal. With so much information still locked away, what other secrets, what other names, and what other crimes are still hidden in the Epstein files? Because one thing is for sure, the full story is far from over.